We made it. Happy New Year. Habari gani. Let's do this. Let's do it right. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Don't mind me just finishing off the getting ready situation. I will say that there is quite a contraption in our living room because I'm trying to figure out how to get the altar to show up on screen. But while we're waiting for folks, I will say Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I hope that you had a wonderful Old Year's Day and Old Year's Night, and that you enjoyed time with family and friends if you're celebrating New Year's at this time, because not everybody celebrates New Year's at this time. But if you do, Happy New Year. And let me make sure please let me know if you can hear me. I'll just bring my microphone a little bit closer. And what I'm also going to do is, Habari gani, I am going to share the link to join the StreamYard in the chat. So I hope that somebody will join me, although I know that it's early and people have had their celebrations. So please do not feel as though you have to. But if you would like to, morning horse, I would appreciate that. All right, so today is the last day of Kwanzaa, and the principle for today is Imani, faith. And I will put that in the chat as well so that we can talk about that a little bit. So please let me know if you're able to get through all of your New Year's Eve rituals. Okay, Imani, faith. I spent the whole day cleaning. Tommy and I spent the whole day cleaning. We got a lot of work done. Not everything, but we got a lot of work done. Okay. So let me just make this shorter so we can all fit. Okay. All right. Okay. So welcome to the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. This is the wrap up. This is the last day of Kwanzaa, the first day of the Gregorian New Year. And the principle for today is Imani, which means faith. And the principle is to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. So a lot of times when people talk about faith as a Kwanzaa principle, they associate it with like spirituality or religion. I do not. I see faith as more on the secular hope side of things as opposed to on the religious side of things. And for me, faith is about like holding people to their highest. And I'm going to talk about faith from my own perspective as a Black queer woman. And in order to do that, I need to provide a little bit of context. So as I mentioned in our first video where we discussed Umoja, unity, one of the things about being unified and connected as African peoples is the recognition and the appreciation of diversity of our communities, and also inclusion within our communities and the elimination of oppression within our communities. So that means that we need to recognize that if you are a leader within African descended communities or Black communities, part of your job is to engage in the undoing of the oppression that happens within our community. And I think within our communities or within the community that you're a leader of, because you can't be unified, you can't be connected, you can't do any of the other Kwanzaa principles if you are not properly contributing towards everyone having an equitable access to resources, social capital, attention, care, love, all of appreciation, and all of those things. And so what I enjoy about the principle of faith is that faith focuses on the people who are, many of the people in our communities who are placed in a position of leadership or who have authority imposed upon them, authority given to them. They have the ability to exercise discretion. They have the ability to lead and to influence. And so what it means for me to have faith in those people and in the ability for them to influence and to change is that I also have to believe that they are doing their own work in order to address oppression within communities, right? So for me, the idea that I should believe with all my hearts in my own people, even when they fail me, are my parents, even when they have failed me, my teachers, even when they fail me, our leaders, even when they fail us, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle, that is really, really powerful and significant. It's an important reminder that our leaders, our people, we are not perfect. We do have the capacity to engage in the type of work that will get us towards the victory of our struggles. But we can't do that unless we are paying attention to the most marginalized within our communities, right? It's not just about the loudest voices, the most recognizable lives, identities, or lifestyles, or the most palatable political beliefs. It's about all of us with a particular focus on the most marginalized. And so that's what I think of when I think of Imani and faith. And it, I think faith is most important when it coexists with doubt, or when you are putting faith into someone or to something that has faltered or who has made an error. I think that's when faith is hardest. That's when Imani is hardest, and that is when it's most important. And so for this discussion and also for the books that we pull, I'd like you to think about books in which you had an imperfect heroine, an imperfect leader, and the plot dealt with the imperfectness of that leader and the importance of people having faith in each other in spite of that leader, or in that leader in spite of their own failings. So do you have any books? And it doesn't have to be a leader. It can be parents, teachers, anybody that has authority in our community. So I'd like to know what your thoughts are about that, and any books that you can think of, please put those books in the chat. So again, the StreamYard link is in the chat. All you need to do is cut and paste it, and then you can join me on video, on camera. I know I'm looking fancy, but you don't need to look fancy. If you'd like to join, you are welcome to. You're also welcome to watch and engage that way. So Happy New Year, Pat Hamilton. Thank you very much for sending us love from the UK. Thank you for being a part of the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon this year, the cozy Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. Very, very low-key and very fun. Thank you for that. I'm thinking I'm going to take these off. I feel like I look more like a New Year's, like a bug with it up like that. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Whitney. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment on the glasses. I hope that you had a good Old Year's Day, that you're having a good New Year's Day. And yes. Okay, folks. So share your Imani books. So I'll talk about a few books that I think really demonstrate Imani. There actually are not a ton of them. And I think some of them I've already talked about. I'm really trying to think about books that I haven't really discussed, but I think we've discussed so many. And because I haven't limited myself, there will be some repeats this time. Okay. So one of my favorite books this year that I read that has an element of faith is Home is Not a Country by Sophia Alilo. And the reason why this book exemplifies faith is because the main character encounters something / someone, and that something / someone is not serving her. There's some trickery involved, and she has to decide what she's going to do about that trickery. She's going to have to decide whether she's going to save herself, whether she's going to take a risk. And right at the end of the story, and this is one of the things that made me cry, was the choice that she made and how she made that choice. It was it was extremely powerful. Very, very powerful. The other book that I will talk about that I read this year, that's also about faith, especially faith in your people, especially when your people fail you, is Rivers Solomon's Sorrowland. And here you've got a character that grew up in this like religious, political community / cult. And she leaves, right? The book starts with her being in the forest giving birth as a teenager. And she has a difficult relationship with her mother. And because of that relationship with her mother and the relationship with the people, she can't fully leave. And she's going through a lot of change, a lot of shifts, and she definitely has to exercise faith. And as she finds out more and more about her community, she has to contend with the option of leaving them for good, running away with her kids, or finding a way to reckon with her past. And in order to do that, she has to exercise a significant degree of faith. Okay, let's see. I think I will add, yeah. So another book, maybe I'll just do, it's interesting. It's interesting when your books, like when you gravitate to certain authors too, because they tend to write books with a very specific theme to them. So even if the plots are different, you've always got this sort of subplot of faith. So we haven't yet read this. Well, I'll just talk about this. Actually, should I? Yeah, I think I want to do this one. So I really can't talk about books that have to do with faith without talking about Octavia E. Butler. I think that if you want to read a book that gets at that really well, Dawn is a really good one. Her faith in humanity is constantly tested in this book, and very similarly in many of the first books of her series. In Wild Seed as well. You've got these protagonists who are called to, one is required to put her faith in this immortal figure who does very, very bad things. And here you have a Black female character that's required to put her faith in an extraterrestrial race that wants to use her in a particular way, right? So, and at the core of all of this is this desire to do better for their community, right? To improve the situation, to keep the community intact. And then there's the idea of putting faith in the future, like putting faith into the collective decisions of your people, trusting that your people will, when they are called, when they're pushed to the limit, they'll make the right decision to save each other and to save you. And I think that that shows up a lot in a book that I haven't talked about, which is The Heaviness of Knowing. By Sherilyn G. Brown. And since I haven't talked about this, I will read it. So Roxal's life revolves around one core principle: obey your gods or die. So even though she knows her gods are false, Roxal pretends to be a devoted follower. She ignores that her obedience means helping them invade another planet, and uses her dream travel ability to force a woman on Earth to unknowingly do as they demand. But when her gods begin hunting and executing non-believers, Roxal fears her disloyalty will be discovered. Lauren is a serial overachiever. When a sudden illness stops her in her tracks, she'll try anything to get back to work, even agree to see a hypnotherapist. During her hypnosis sessions, Lauren meets Roxal and discovers that not only are aliens real, but they're planning to conquer Earth, and she's been helping them. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now Lauren must stop this alien invasion that threatens life as she knows it. And Roxal must find a new way to survive now that pretending won't keep her safe. What will be the ultimate price these two women have to pay for knowing the truth? So that's The Heaviness of Knowing, which I very much enjoyed. So I would say that if I thought about what was on my shelf of the faith books, I also think that the Prey of Gods, which is behind, the Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden, is also a book that deals with the theme of faith, Imani. Okay, so those are my 5 books. I'd love to hear more about your books and also your recommendations. And then if my phone situation cooperates, there will be a altar tour of sorts. So we'll see if I can accomplish that this morning. All right. And if you are watching, good morning. Please say where you're watching from, what Imani or faith means to you, and any books that you've read this year that exemplify those themes. Okay. So another El Hilo book is at the top of your stack, and that is The January Children. Okay. So I'm going to look up The January Children. I do have a novella that I haven't read yet that I think will address that as well. Ooh, this looks super speculative and very interesting. Okay. The January Children. Let's share the screen. Thank you for this recommendation. I mean, Safia Alilo's work is just stunning. Okay. Okay, so this is poetry. In her dedication, Safia Alilo writes, "The January children are the generation born in Sudan under British occupation, where children were assigned birth years by height, all given the birth date January 1. What follows is a deeply personal collection of poems that describe the experiences of navigating the post-colonial world as a stranger in one's land. The January Children depicts displacement and longing, while also questioning accepted truths about geography, history, nationhood, and home. The poems mythologize family histories until they break open, using them to explore aspects of Sudan's history of colonial occupation, dictatorship, and diaspora. Several of the poems speak to the late Egyptian singer Abdel Halim Hafez, who addresses many of his songs to the Asmarani, an Arabic term of endearment for a brown-skinned or dark-skinned person. Elilo explores Arabness and Africanness and the tensions generated by a hyphenated identity in these two worlds. No longer content to accept man-made borders, Elilo navigates a new and reimagined world, maintaining a sense of wonder in multiple landscapes and mindscapes of perpetuating shifting values. She leads the reader through a post-colonial narrative that is equally terrifying and tender, melancholy and defiant. That sounds amazing. It does. I'm not sure that it's speculative, but it sounds really powerful. And I hope she reads it too, because I really enjoy hearing her read. She's got such a beautiful voice, and the delivery of her words and her ideas is really powerful. Okay, Dawn, you were thinking that too, especially reflecting on the rich conversations from the slow read. Yeah, thank you. For sure. An Imani book for me has to be Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. That has a really beautiful cover, a romance novel. The main character loses and regains faith in herself. She places a lot of faith in her friend group and love interest. Okay, let's look at Honey Girl. Yeah, I really liked the cover, Honey Girl. Let me see. I'm trying to get it so that you can. Nope, not showing the cover, is it? No. Okay, let's just get an image of the cover so we can all enjoy it. Sometimes it's hard to get an image of a cover. Let's see. Is this going to work? Okay, let's try that. Enlarge cover. Okay, good enough. Here we go. Yeah, the cover is really beautiful. There we go. So I think that's as big as I can get it. Oh, I lied. So that is the cover for Honey Girl. Okay. So Regina Renee, you mostly read literary fiction, and that is what's popping up for you for Imani. That's fair. I think that a lot of Zora Neale Hurston's work, Toni Morrison's work, Jamaica Kincaid. Hi, you're not on camera. Hi. Morning. Happy New Year. Those are all examples of writers who take up Alice Walker. Many of their stories are about faith, right? The Color Purple is about faith. The Bluest Eye is about faith. Sula's about faith. So there are a lot of stories about faith, 100%. And any book that has there are two more that I want to talk about. There's Sword and Steel by Ebony Dunbar, which is in my novella section somewhere. So that's a book that gets into themes of faith, as well as, yeah, I can't pick it up right now. And there's something up there that's gnawing at me. And then also The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke is also a faith book that I read this year. That is somewhere around here that I will get to. So those two books as well. The Legacy of Orisha series. Children of Blood and Bone has issues, but definitely speaks to Imani for me. I have it here. It is, actually, it's in, here it is. So this is The Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. And this was what Regina Renee that you said. It has issues. You've heard me talk about it. I have a whole very long review. I read it twice. So I have thoughts about Children of Blood and Bone, but I think that it is important to give voice to the books that have been inspiring to you. So that's Children of Blood and Bone. I actually also, I hesitate to talk about this one because I need to read it again. I was racing to the finish line to finish this by the end of December 31st, but Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. This is definitely a book that talks about faith, 100%. And in order for me to really get into why it speaks to faith and what it's about, I'm going to have to read it again because I rushed it too much towards the end, but that's also a book. Yes, you finally caught a live. Welcome. Barracoon was about faith in some ways as well. Let me find that. By Zora Neale Hurston. I have to read more of her work. I need to read Their Eyes Were Watching God. I need to read that again. Okay, I'm just going to enlarge the cover and then I'll share the screen. Bree, I don't know if you caught this, but I have invited people to join me in the chat today. So I would love it if you would like to join and we can chat a bit, just have a nice cozy chat if you'd like. The link is, if you scroll up, the link is one of the first comments that I made. Okay, so that's Barracoon, The Story of the Last Black Cargo by Zora Neale Hurston. And I love this cover. Okay, and let me read the synopsis. Barracoon is I lost the synopsis. 1 second. Okay. It's a nonfiction work by Zora Neale Hurston. It is based on her interviews in 1927 with Cudjoe Lewis, the at the time last presumed living survivor of the Middle Passage. The book failed to find a publisher at the time, in part because it was written in vernacular and also in part because it described the involvement of other African people in the business of the African slave trade. While two later female survivors were eventually discovered, Cudjoe remained the last to have clear memories of life in Africa before his enslavement and passage. The manuscript was in the Allen Locke collection at the Moreland Spingarn Research Center at Howard University, and it remained unpublished until the 21st century. Awesome. So tell me why this reminds you of Imani, faith. You read it 3 times. That's awesome. Okay, you're going to join. That's awesome. Thank you for joining. Okay. Yes. Masters of Poisons. My recommendation for this, you have to give this book space and time. It has to be read slowly. It has to. I missed things. I didn't understand certain things. And I could feel like it was as though I was on a raft on the surface of the water, and I was just floating over the book. I should have like dive down. Like I should have gotten my scuba diving gear, dived down and looked around, because I just got the surface of it. And that was really beautiful, but I missed important things. So I need to read it again. Okay. You loved Barracoon, but it broke you. Everybody's happy to see each other. Yay. I'm glad you're coming on. Thank you. The Death of Vivek Oji and My Soul to Keep. So, Akwe Eki Amezi. So, they are also an insta-buy for me. What does it mean for a family to lose a child they never really knew? One afternoon in a town in southeastern Nigeria, a mother opens her front door to discover her son's body wrapped in colorful fabric at her feet. What follows is the tumultuous, heart-wrenching story of one family struggle to understand a child whose spirit is both gentle and mysterious. Raised by a distant father and a compassionate but overprotective mother, Vivek Oji suffers disorienting blackouts, moments of disconnection between self and surroundings. And adolescence leads to adulthood. As adolescence leads to adulthood, Vivek finds solace in friendships with the warm, boisterous daughters of the Niger wives, foreign-born women married to Nigerian men. But Vivek's closest bond is with Osita, the worldly, high-spirited cousin whose teasing confidence masks a guarded private life. As the relationship deepens and Osita struggles to understand Vivek's escalating crisis, the mystery gives way to a heart-stopping act of violence in a moment of exhilarating freedom. Compulsively readable, teeming with unforgettable characters, The Death of Vivek Oji is a novel of family, friendship, and the self that challenges expectations, a dramatic story of loss, and transcendence that will move every reader. So there's that. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. My Soul to Keep. Okay. So I've talked about My Soul to Keep. Actually, another really good book about faith, Imani, is Nisi Shaw's Ever Fair. That's a great book about faith. And it takes more of the political side of things. I hear a beep. It is Bree. When your camera is up, I will join you. And yes, Tananarive is a favorite author of yours, Regina Renee. You do need to find my review for Children of Blood and Bone. And then we need to have a heart-to-heart. For sure. Yes, so I actually have a copy of Crick Crack. It is in I think it's probably in the back shelves. I have it in my literary fiction section. Yeah, I moved most of my literary fiction to the back, to my back shelves. And when I say back shelves, I mean like the shelves, like behind the shelves. Yeah. I do not have that, but Crick Crack is a collection of short stories by Edwidge Danticat. So, Bree, are you... I can't see your video. Are you turning your video on? Let me know. Do you want me to add you just with your voice? Let me know. I think you're trying to do something, so I will wait. Yes, to all in the chat, blessings and Happy New Year. So we have talked, I see you leaving and coming back. So we talked about books. What about Imani and faith? Like, what about the principle itself? What does it mean to you? Tell me more about that, because that is something I would like to know. What does it mean to you? And while you answer that question, I'm going to... Oh, you tried to join and failed. Oh, I'm so happy you tried. Okay. Because I really would love for you both to be on screen. So let me... I don't know what happened when you tried to join. I'll put it in the chat again. So Bree, you've added to the screen. I'm just going to add you.
Is
So
it still not working?
it's not working.
Oh, very strange.
Go to along the bottom where it says cam/mic.
Okay.
It also could be that you have something blocking your camera.
I didn't think so. 1 second.
Mhm. Regina Renee, you got an error message. That's so weird. Hmm.
Okay, let me try again. Try again.
No problem. Okay, Regina Renee, I'm going to email you the link. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but I just emailed it to you. So it also has like a few other instructions. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, there you are. Habarigani. It also has like a few other instructions.
Oh, am I here?
Yes, you're in. We can see you. I'm sorry. Oh, there you are. Habarigani. It also has
Imani.
like a few other instructions.
Oh, am I here?
Yes, you're in. We can see you. I'm sorry. Oh, there
Okay.
you are. Habarigani. It also has
Imani.
like a few other instructions.
Oh, am I here?
Yes, you're in. We can see you're in a loop. Okay, so I would love to hear. There you are. Hello. Nice and cozy. So hi Bree, hi Regina Renee. So while you're both here, I'm gonna put my stack up, but I would love it if you two could sort of speak on what Imani is to you. And you'll see my stack, but I'm also going to try and turn on my other camera so that we can do a live candle lighting.
Oh, I've already lit my candles.
That's okay. No. You can just watch me light mine. That's totally fine. No problem. Yeah, so how are you feeling about your Kwanzaa, and what does Imani mean to you? I'm going to turn this stack around and then I am going to try and get my camera on screen. Okay, take it away.
You gonna start, Bree?
No, I'm gonna let you start.
Okay.
I love all the raspy morning husky voices.
Yeah, I have COVID and I'm stuck in another country and they won't let me in until.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope you have a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Faith, love your, that's funny, because hold on. Let's see if I can do this without toppling this.
Awesome. Yeah, why don't you take us through your stack too?
So this is my Imani stack, but again, there's like literary fiction and a lot of nonfiction, because, well, let's circle back to the faith piece. The spiritual aspect of it is easier for me than having faith in humanity. And that's something that I've been dealing with a lot, especially since COVID, but just in general. That faith in people after they've failed you, and for me, a big issue is after I have failed somebody in some way, it's really hard for me to re-engage. So when I was doing the Reflect-A-Thon, again, it was going back to literary fiction because I've been focusing a lot on friendships and reading books with active, healthy friendships where nobody is taking advantage of the other. And even when there is some failing, people own up to it and move on. And where that appears and where that doesn't. And that's why Children of Blood and Bone came to me. It was just like, there were so many times it was just like, nope, you're just failing each other and not even trying to correct the situation. And that's where my issues were. And so it was just like looking for something else that is speculative and just loving and caring. And that's where Master of Jinn comes for me. And so I'm going to be all over the place. So feel free to interrupt at any time because I have never done a live. I do not hop on. I just don't do this. So it's a new year, so I'm trying new things. But so I have Shoutin' in the Fire by Dante Stewart. And this one is on my stack because trying to reconcile being a person of African descent and being a Christian is also something that's very difficult, because it's like, how do you go on in this tradition knowing, what I know, and how do I do that? And so Dante Stewart just does that admirably. It's like, I'm a Black man who knows things and me being a Black woman. And it's just like, and still choosing Christianity. And what does that look like, especially in America? Next was The January Children, which we've already discussed. I also have Home is Not a Country, which you already discussed. John Lewis, Carry On. Definitely made my list, especially in Jerry, as you spoke of it, as far as about being hopeful and having hope and looking at hope. And like I said, my struggle is with people, not with the divine and my relationship to the divine, because I know the divine is in me and the divine is in you. And I have seen it in everybody. And even when we do fail, but again, it's a huge struggle, particularly, again, in my faith community with other Christians who, one, try to appropriate our culture. Has been a lot lately with white folks and people who are just not of African descent, trying to appropriate, the Black church, appropriate Black culture, but not accept their role in what has gone on in the past and why people struggle in the church, and not owning it and ignoring it and still trying to be like, oh, it's all good. And so that's been like, super hard. Black Girl Call Home. Woo! Just everything that's good about us. And I love all love letters to Black women, just period. Again, not speculative, but Imago is actually in my pile. And yeah, oh my gosh. But Love and Color. It's like love stories and myths. And that's the one thing, it's just like, I love getting to know myths from across the diaspora that involve Black folks just loving on each other. Like whatever that love looks like, and that gives me hope. We've talked about this repeatedly, Master of...
I haven't read. I really do need to read it.
I'm like, and it hits like every principle. So I really need to just let things be what they are. I haven't read this one, but I really think it's gonna have what I need as far as Imani. So like the whole fantasy and reality. Oops, sorry, it's Shallow Waters. And I don't know.
And who wrote that one?
Who is the author? Anita Kopax. So haven't read it. So, but it is what I think. And then if you haven't, I mean, I think pretty much everybody at this point, this one's gotten a lot of hype, but even before the hype, it's just like the idea. So one, Robert Jones is just a brilliant mind. And again, being able to talk about how the church just erases certain people and thinks that it's going to be okay. And we still love, love the sinner, not the sin, all that stuff. Hate the sin, not the sinner, blah, 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 blah. When you're just like erasing people. And this idea that queerness is like something that we got from white folks and it's just shatters that. And it's just like having two men in love who are enslaved and doing, it's just like, nope, nope, Black love all the time. And it's like, we're here, we existed, this has been a thing. It's like, oh my gosh. And it's just unapologetically queer, unapologetically Black, just, and it's like, no. And so I just love it and love him and just listening to Robert Jones talk. And then finally, this is the epitome. And again, sorry, not speculative, but for those of you who watched Queen Sugar, or read the book, because loved the book, but we are each other's harvest. And so Natalie, it's a big book, so it's kind of heavy, but Natalie Basile, and so actually takes a look at, you know, African American farmers and the land and the legacy and what they've lost and what they contribute and what they've gained and how we are truly each other's harvest. And if that's not having faith in each other, I don't know what is, especially after the legacy of, you know, enslavement. It was just like, you used our labor, you know, we took care of the land for other people. We had all of these other contributions and we didn't get to reap the harvest. And so to be in a space and to read this, but we are each other's harvest and there are Black farmers doing their thing. When we talk about sustainability and taking care of the planet and taking care of each other, you know, what better place than, you know, Black farmers, you know, raising our food, getting our food from each other, helping each other during these times when we can't get what we need. So yeah, that's my entire stack. And I'm going to stop talking now. I have talked a lot and part of it is just nerves and yeah.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And we've had you on before, so this is good. This is great. You're perfect. So thank you for that. Especially because I know that some folks don't read speculative, right? So it's good to have examples that are from other kinds of reading, you know, reading genres. So did you want to talk about any of the books that you felt, Bree, exemplified Imani?
Yeah, let me I was trying to think of it because I'm not even nowhere near the United States. Um, so I was thinking as you spoke, one came to mind was Wandering Lands by Morgan Jenkins, I think is how
Mm-hmm.
you say her last name. Is it Jenkins? I think it's Jenkins. She talks about her journey on trying to figure out her ancestry, and it just felt like she was really driven, determined, and had a lot of faith in the stories that her family told her, um, which I resonated with a lot because I'm my family's historian and I also teach um, Black Americans of African ancestry how to trace back your history. I do classes and stuff on that. So
Oh,
it was
cool.
really interesting reading how she did it, although I do think, you know, Morgan has money. So it made it a little bit easier for her to streamline it versus other people. So I really like that. Just wanted to pause and talk about what Regina Renee said earlier about how difficult it has been having faith externally, um, and especially in other people. That is, I find that to be more of a struggle as we enter deeper into the pandemic. Um, just really hard to believe anyone, because not only is the pandemic showing us how leaders of the world work and showing us their true colors if we haven't seen them before, people close to us are doing the same. We're seeing how ourselves and other people deal with stress and how they communicate with us, which is like really have diminished my faith in friendship, which I thought I would never, ever be there. I used to think very, very highly of friendships and be very trustworthy, or like trusting of folks, because I just don't want to believe that someone is intentionally being malicious. I just can't, just don't want to believe that right away. So it's been really hard, like trying to tease out those pieces. And I think the hardest challenge of when we talk about faith, I found, and as I reflect on 2021, is I've been having a hard time intrinsically creating that faith for myself within myself. Um, and that's just something, I'm going to work on with my therapist. Another book I thought was Barracoon. I've already mentioned that. Amari and the Night Brothers,
Oh,
for sure. For sure, Amari and the Night Brothers. I also think The Lesson by Malcolm Gladwell, which is science fiction. And Amari and the Night Brothers is middle grade, and Wandering Lands is nonfiction. Just so people know, like, where I'm getting these things from. Also, yes, The Lesson. I'm glad you're showing the books. I'm like, I don't have them. And everyone knows, I think, if you follow my channel, my favorite nonfiction is Braiding Sweet Grass, and by Dr. Robin Wall Kimmerer. And that book has a lot about faith, and it's warning you about what happens when you don't believe, and how faith is being represented in other cultures. Um, and I just found that to be a very strong book. Let me think of something else I've read recently, maybe. Um, I will say, I'm just gonna say this because it is. I was trying to keep it BIPOC as possible, but those Percy Jackson books is all about faith. They're on a journey. They're trying to get it, and I've read 21 of them in 2021. So I was like, I gotta mention them somehow, right? Um, I can't even remember all the books I've read.
Can I
There's a
ask you a
bunch of them.
question?
Yeah.
So thinking about because I still read them, even though we never did get to discuss because, schedules.
Oh, my Black
But what
classics.
about the Black classics? I'm like a lot of, yeah. So I'd love to hear you speak about the Black classics.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was in a live yesterday, and I was so sad that I didn't speak about the Black classics. I thought about it. It was just sad in my head until I went to sleep. I was like, God damn it, the Black classics. Ann Petrie. You know how I feel about Ann Petrie, Regina Renee. I I listen. The love I have for Ann Petrie is strong. Okay, so we read The Street and the Narrows by Ann Petrie, and the way she tells you a story and like does I did hold on, I'm trying to like think, y'all. Sorry. There's a way in which she tells a story, and I looked it up and I put it in the vlog and forgot the name of it. But she repeats things in a way that reminds you about something she said earlier about the character or what the character has done, but she does it in a way that's so reflective and pull you deeper into the story. It makes you think about how you feel about what just happened. So I really like how she does that, and she always have these strong characters who do things that they probably shouldn't do, but they have like this internal drive, or you could call it faith, that they think that they're going to get a different outcome, and usually that's not the case. But but it's very interesting, reading how she wrote, and in a lot of ways it felt very poetic, in the ways that she wrote to me, I thought. So I hope to read more stuff, but The Street in the Narrows was so good. I just finished The Street, and it followed the story of a young man and a young woman from different walks of life. The young man is a black man, the young woman is a white woman, and it talks about like the danger of a white woman's voice and how it can literally be the downfall of a black man, and how they're navigating being in different worlds and also wanting to be with each other, but also ignoring like the real danger of being a black man at this time, and how dangerous it can be being in an interracial relationship at that time. So he's out here trying to have faith in a relationship. She is too, but she also is not being honest and not saying what's going on. It's a whole bunch, y'all. It's drama, and I love it. So it's good. Um, Let me think of some other ones. We read. Oh my God, Regina Renee. Here was it. Black No More by George.
Yes, and I'm gonna reach.
Okay.
So you talk.
Okay, so Black No More, that book took me on a journey.
Woo.
I'm still, you know how you read a book, and in Nigeria, you've talked about this a lot on your channel. You read a book and you're like, I still am processing what just happened. Like you're still trying to, it's almost as like you need to reread it like every month to make sure that you know what you just read, right? So George, Black No More is about, um, this experiment that can make you black no more, essentially. And in the book, black folks are trying to uh, take this experiment that will turn them into a white person. Not all black folks, but there's a group of black folks who want to be white, and there is a scientist who is famous and going around telling everyone that this is not going to make you a negro, and there are some black folks who are for it and there are some black folks who are not. So it follows the story of one black guy, well, a couple black guys, but the one I remember the most is in the beginning of the book. He talked so poorly about black women, I wanted to fight him. Like, he talked so poorly about black women. And then he went to this party, saw this white woman, and was like, wow, can I dance with you? Can I be in your space? And she was like, I don't dance with Negroes. I don't mess around with Negroes. And then he went and got this experiment, turned into a white man, hunt her down, found her, married her, and just living in this white world. But the big premise of the book to me, and Regina Renee, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it just the book the point of the book to me meant that it don't matter what you do to your skin, no matter how white you think you want to talk, how white you think you want to act, whatever. White folks still think that you a Negro at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you a Negro.
Right. And it spoke to me
That
about
was
authenticity and purpose. And what is your purpose in life? Like pleasing other people and being authentic to who you really are. Because,
mhm.
yeah, he was going to get throat punched before the first. Yeah.
There was
Yeah,
also
interesting book.
the Comet by W.E. Du Bois has very, very similar themes. I want to read
Okay,
more.
thank you. I was
Yeah, no
thinking of
problem.
it. I couldn't remember, so thank you. I
You
was like,
can get
someone said this before, famously, and you.
yeah. So in Dark Matter 1, it's a short story that shows up in here. You can also read it electronically. You can buy just the story. It's very, very short. But it's the first story here, and I want to read more. It was written in 1920, a black science fiction story written in 1920, The Comet by W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to show you our altar because we're rounding on one hour. We're going to
Mhm.
wrap this up really soon. So thank you for that discussion. And Bree, let people know how they can participate. Are you going to be reading Black Classics? excuse me, are you reading Black classics again this year? Are you going to be doing that again?
Yeah, I hope so. I haven't decided because so since I have COVID, I'm gonna be sick for a little minute, and then I have surgery in my throat and in my nose, so I will be out of the booktube world until like March.
Okay.
So I haven't decided when I'm gonna restart it up. I hope to restart it up in at least April, but I'm not sure yet. But I got to keep finishing them because I've enjoyed all the books we've read so far.
Let's
Good.
talk. Yeah, let's figure that out for later in the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Oh, I
so
love that.
I'm gonna try and figure out what okay, I think I need to I'm gonna remove us from the screen. I think that'll make this big. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, you can hear me? Okay. Um I'm gonna go off screen for a second. I'm just trying to make this bigger. I have to remove. Okay, so you can't hear me when I go off screen. Okay, so that's our Kwanzaa altar, and I'll do a. Oh, I think I know what I can do. Hold on. Okay, I have to go onto my phone and turn myself off mute. That's going to take me a second, and then you should be able to hear me. So 1 sec. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I've got to turn myself down on the computer. Please let me know if you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. You should be able to hear me. Okay, so this is our Kwanzaa altar. And wow, shout out to people who do streams because this is okay, great. You can all hear. Wonderful. Okay, so this is our Kwanzaa altar. And on it, you'll see, so we've got the Unity cup. We don't drink out of it, but it's available here if like we wanted to pour libations. Now, the things that we have on the altar are a little bit different than what you might see on other Kwanzaa altars. And they might mean different things. So we've got the ears of corn, and the ears of corn are to represent like the continuation of our communities. And I see like each of these kernels as like the children and descendants and the wealth of community and having descendants. Um, we've got here a plant. This plant is actually from my mom and dad's place. We are propagating it, so having roots from my parental home, that's very important. So that's here as well. We've got a picture of Tommy and I because we celebrate together, and that's important on the altar. And then, of course, we have these cowrie shells because my altar is bookish and there are 8 of them. There really should be 7, so now there are 7. 7 cowrie shells for the review system. I've got a peacock feather that reminds me of Oshun. So peacocks is one of my animals. So peacock feathers show up on almost everything. And then I've got 7 tarot cards. So 1 for each principle. So this is Isis, Yemaya, the moon. This is from the Daughters of the Moon deck, which is a feminist deck. It's quite old. It's one of the first like round decks and feminist tarot decks. This is my favorite card of the entire deck. It's Creation, One of Flames. And I like this card. This reminds me of cooperative economics. And this one reminds me of collective work and responsibility. And this one reminds me of self-determination. Not sure if they're in focus because I can't really see. But there's that. And then I've also have some candy. So this is dark chocolate and an orange. And then this is a little like boozy cherry comet. And oftentimes you can put like candies or toys on your Kwanzaa altar to remind you of fun and children. I've got this card deck here, which is the Notable Black Women card deck in American history. And then they're actually cards, but each card has like a Black woman from history on it. So there's that. And I really like the cover art of the card. I also have books. So I've got Nalo Hopkinson's Brown Girl in the Rain, Maya Rising Dark, Spiritual Citizenship, Reclaiming African Religions in Trinidad, and Queering Creole Spiritual Traditions. I also have Fruits of the Earth. So pumpkins, squashes, and then there is a quartz crystal. I forget the name of this crystal, but I find it very grounding. So there's that. And then there is the rainbow ribbon because we're queer and you can't celebrate Kwanzaa without recognizing the contributions of queer folks. And then we've got the mat underneath to like this mat to remind us of the foundation upon which we do all of our work, and then also the red on the bottom keeps me grounded to the blood of our people and also the red of the land. And then we have the actual Kanara. This Kanara was handmade by the father of a friend of mine in Toronto. So this is the first time that we're using it, and we've got the candles here. So I will light them. And traditionally, folks light the candles with the unity candle. fall over. It's a bit of an awkward angle. So that is our Kwanzaa altar. And I will take the camera down so I can give you a bit of a close-up of things. And then the candles. So that is the tour of our Kwanzaa altar. All right, good. That was a lot. I hope nothing falls. Okay, everyone. So let me just remove that. Okay, so we are at like 1 hour and 11 minutes. So I just want to say thank you very much to Regina, Renee, and Bree for joining. I'm going to give you an opportunity to say any last words if you want to. But yeah, this is the fourth Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon that has ever been hosted on my channel. And it always is an amazing opportunity to talk about the Kwanzaa principles and to talk about how they connect to the books that we've been reading. And every year it's different and something new happens. And this is the first time we've done, I'm just afraid that it's going to fall over. This is the first time we've done an altar tour. So this was great. Yeah. So Regina, Renee, or Bree, is there anything else you'd like to share before we go? And Bree, yes, I see that Whitney and others have wished you a speedy recovery. So I do as well.
Yes, Bree. And just thank you and Jerry. And yeah, want to wish all just the best.
Thank you for having us on. I want to wish everybody a great new year. And I hope y'all get to, achieve some goals that was left over from last year. You don't have to have a time period on all goals. Like, you can just do it at your own pace and what comes good for you. I need to figure out what those goals are. I usually have them written down somewhere, but I haven't done that because I have no energy. So that's where we're at. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you as well. I'll be doing like a cozy vision boarding party situation tomorrow online. If you're interested, please email me. I'll send you the link. So yeah, I usually do my reflections. I usually do my reflections on the first day of the year because yesterday we were still in 2021, so I need to be out of the year before I can reflect on it. So I'm doing that today as well as my goal setting over the weekend and continuing our cleaning of the space as we enter into the new year. So a gentle transition into 2022. Thank you everyone for participating. Thank you, Regina, Renee. Thank you, Bree. And thank you everybody in the chats. And also for those who are rewatching or who are watching the replay, it's been a pleasure spending time with you again. And read with purpose. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.